Chapter 5. Mimi.
And I didn't want to be in the front lines. I didn't want to make any kind of headlines. I hated it. I grew up hating it. I grew up avoiding it and hating the press. So I hated any attention on me too. I'm not narcissistic in any way. I'm totally the opposite.
I met Michael Jackson when I was a little girl in Las Vegas. I think I was about 6. My dad was performing at the Hilton, and the Jackson 5 were playing down the road. Michael remembered that I went backstage and met them. I don't remember it at all. When I was a teenager, probably 15 or 16, Michael called my mom for her to go meet him for dinner. When I saw the messages that he'd called, I said, "Mom, what the fuck are you doing? Why is Michael Jackson calling you?" I found out later that he was hoping that I'd come with her. He didn't say so directly because he didn't want it to seem weird. Then a couple of years after that, when I was working for Jerry Schilling and helping manage Jerry Lee Lewis, Michael tried to contact me via a business guy, John Branca, who worked for the Elvis estate, but who had also helped Michael acquire the Beatles catalog. But at the time, I was about to marry Danny, so nothing came of it. Michael told me later that when I was on the cover of People magazine after Danny and I got married, he was devastated. He thought that he should be with me instead. I had no idea all this was going on. The first time meeting Michael that I actually remember was in 1993, right after he did his famous Super Bowl halftime performance and his interview with Oprah. We met through a mutual friend. I had a demo tape out. He said he'd heard it and wanted to meet me. I didn't want to go at first. I didn't want to become someone else's project. Prince had tried it too, and though I respected what they were doing, I wanted to do my own thing. But I went anyway. When Michael arrived, I was shocked that he was alone, and further shocked that he was really subdued and extremely nice. Danny was with me and made everybody leave the room so that Michael and I could talk. We just clicked. Phone numbers were exchanged, and he'd call me. I was living in Clearwater at the time, really working hard at Scientology, making progress. Back then, I wouldn't even take Advil, which is crazy. But Michael would call. We had worked out a signal. If it rang 3 times and then stopped, it was Michael, and you had to clear the fuck out of the way for me to get on the phone with him. We'd be on the phone for long periods of time. I just thought that he was lonely and needed a friend, but he was pursuing me. Eventually, he invited me to go to Atlanta to see him, and I went with my assistant, who was also Danny's brother's wife. There, I hung out only with Michael. We went to amusement parks. I don't know why Danny let me do it. Don't know why he trusted me. Mistake. This went on for a few months, and then the molestation accusations hit. Michael disappeared, went into hiding. Nobody could find him. I put the word out that I was there for him if he wanted to talk to me. He called me pretty much every other day. I was one of only a handful of people who he talked to or who knew where he was. He went to Switzerland for rehab for prescription painkillers and then ended up back in Los Angeles. That's when the Northridge earthquake happened, and I heard that Michael ran out of his house in his pajamas, jumped into his Jeep, drove to the airport, and took a Gulfstream to Las Vegas because he was terrified of earthquakes. I thought that was so funny. He called me from Vegas and invited me to join him again. I went to the Mirage where he was staying. I took the kids and my sister-in-law again. Michael and I had different rooms, but each night I'd go to his room and we'd stay up all night talking like you do when you're first meeting somebody, watching movies like Jaws, drinking and talking about our childhoods, our lives, how we felt. Michael had an energy and a presence. And that week, he was fully allowing me into his world, into his mind. I knew he didn't do that very much. I don't think he ever did, actually, until we started talking. He knew that I understood him, and we really connected because I didn't judge him. I completely got who he was and why he thought the shit that he thought. We had come from and were now in similar circumstances. Everything about our lives was so incredibly abnormal. There was no reason why we shouldn't connect. And as for that meeting as children, he remembered every detail, where I'd sat, what I'd said. He said, "You remember the white dress?" I said, "How do you remember the white dress I wore?" "My God, you remember? I don't remember any of this. All I remember was being afraid to tell my dad I wanted to go see somebody else's show." I was only supposed to go to Vegas for 2 days, but I ended up staying for 8. Nothing happened physically, but the connection was so insanely strong. No one had ever seen that side of him. He wasn't that high-pitched, calculated thing. That was an act. At one point during the week I was there, Danny flew to Las Vegas and was trying to find us in the Mirage, banging on doors. I told Danny that I was just helping Michael, being his friend, and that he should leave us alone and go home. And that's what he did. The final night, Michael again invited me to his room. When I arrived, he said, "Don't look at me. I'm really nervous. I want to tell you something." And then he turned out the lights. And in the darkness, Michael said,